Chad West, Dallas City Council here. I am here in the Las Olas area of Fort Lauderdale. If you know Fort Lauderdale, you know that Fort Lauderdale's prime example of walkability is actually in the Las Olas area. We're going to check it out today.
All right, one thing I noticed about Las Olas Street is that there are quite a few parts of the street that have dedicated shared mobility lanes, not just for bikes, but also for scooters. I've seen people with strollers using them. You can see them in light blue over here. They've also got these sort of like these little bumps in the road that help as guards to prevent cars from going into that area. And they've actually got planters out in the street. And this is up and down Las Olas, as we'll see as we go down the street a little bit. Mid-block crossings that make it a little more friendly for pedestrians are pretty common up and down the street. You've got a median here that instead of putting a turn lane in it, which they could have easily done and probably had at one point, they've got trees, they've got planters. This is a great example of a street that is really shared by cars that for the most part go fairly slow, and tons of walkability and shopping and dining and everything in between. All right, it looks like Fort Lauderdale has invested in the bike ports here. You can see we've got a dedicated area, at least one parking space. Actually, it looks more like two that have been given over to allow for parking for bikes that you can rent. Notice we have wide sidewalks here. There is a lot of parking in off this street. You know, just a little bit to the side, but a lot of it's been pushed to the back of these stores and restaurants instead of pushing it up to the front, which we tend to do in suburban planning sometimes. One thing I don't see any of are power lines along the street. I think the city, when they redid the streets, they probably buried all the lines, which helped with beautifying the street. Here's an example of a pedestrian island, an area for crossing for pedestrians mid-block that makes it a little bit safer. I'm going out there now. Another thing I noticed off the Los Alamos area is that there are parking meters even 2 or 3 blocks away from the main drag. So the city is capturing revenue from cars that come down here, even if they park quite a ways away. And I think that's something to look at in our busy tourist districts. You know, maybe considering like a parking management district so we can recapture some of the money paid by drivers and actually use that money to improve the district. The parking management district concept is something that I have asked the Plan Commission and Sustainable Development to look at when I asked them to open up the entire parking code.